time about how my boyfriend faked his own death so that he wouldn't have to break up with me. His mom called me to tell me that he was dead. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, I was sending me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I had been dating for 3 years. Our relationship was really only based on attraction, I have to admit. But the last year we started getting a little bit more serious, and that's when we started talking about marriage. By the way, he was the one that brought up marriage. He asked me if I could see myself getting married to him, and I said yes. Now here's the thing. I am way out of his league. Like, way out of his league. I'm a 10, he's probably like a 6. Here's my theory. If you date a guy that's not as good looking as you, he probably won't cheat on you and will consider himself lucky to be with you. So that was my reason for being in a relationship with him. He made me feel safe, and I knew that he probably wouldn't cheat on me, and he felt lucky to be with me because I'm really hot. Eventually, he asked me to move in, and I said yes. But after a few weeks, he started acting really strange. He constantly complained about having headaches, and for some reason would always have his mom over at our place. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my boyfriend faked his own death to not have to break up with me, and even got his mom to call me to tell me that he was dead. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's on Instagram. After we moved in together, that's when everything changed. He always complained about having headaches, and would always bring his mom over like every single day. At first this annoyed me because all I really wanted was some privacy with my boyfriend, but then I kind of just learned to deal with it. And here's when things get really crazy. After exactly 1 month of living together, he disappeared. One morning he left to work and simply did not come back. I kept calling his phone but no answer. I even called his mom and asked him what was up, and she told me that she didn't know where he was. Finally, after 2 days of calling his phone, I decided to go over to his mom's house. I asked her if he'd been home, and she told me that she hadn't seen him in 3 days. But her behavior was super strange. She got really nervous and tried to close the door behind her. I asked her who was inside the house, and she said nobody. But I could hear someone making noise. Then she basically kicked me out. She told me I needed to leave really quickly because she had to go out. So of course, I went back to my apartment. 2 hours later, she calls me to tell me that he's dead. I asked her where he was. She told me that he didn't know and that she didn't know how he died. She asked me not to call her again because it was too painful. Part 3 is story time about how my boyfriend faked his own death so that he wouldn't have to break up with me, and got his mom to tell me that he was dead. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, I was sending me on Instagram. After she told me on the phone that my boyfriend was dead, I had no choice but to believe her. I was so sad and depressed, sitting in the apartment that I share with my dead boyfriend. I called my parents and told them I was coming home. I spent the next 4 days with my parents and eventually went back to my apartment. My plan was to get all of his stuff and give it to his mom. I show up to her house with the boxes and knock on the door. She opens the door with a huge smile on her face, and as soon as she realizes it's me, she stops smiling. I asked her if she was okay, and she said that everything was fine. She asked me what I wanted in a really rude tone, and I said, I'm just bringing some of your son's stuff. She asked me to leave it outside and then close the door. I knocked on the door again, and she did not open the door. A few days later, I go to the mall, and guess who I see walking around? My dead boyfriend? I run up to him and ask him what happened. That's when he confessed that he just didn't know how to break up with me, and he thought that the best way to do it was just to pretend that he was dead. And he also confessed that he met someone. Here I'm thinking I'm way too hot for him to cheat on me. Yeah, right. It's been a few months now, and he's hitting me up again because he broke up with the other girl. Should I take him back?
Am I wrong for walking out of my sister's birthday party after she announced she was pregnant? Growing up, my sister, 26, and I, 23 female, were not that close. She was my parents' favorite daughter. I've always been a little overweight, I had PCOS, and my sister was slim and fit. I always held that resentment towards her, especially when she belittled me with my mom, not letting me eat more than 1 serving of dinner or more than 1 serving of dessert, telling me that sleeping in was making me gain weight. She always overshadowed my accomplishments. My sister married when she was 23 to a wealthy man 28 from our community. We're Indian. Her marriage was arranged. They have 3 beautiful kids. I love my niece and nephew more than anything. I married my husband 26 2 years ago, and we have been trying for a baby for almost 1 year. My sister always said it's because I brought shame to my parents for marrying outside our culture that I couldn't have a baby. After many negative tests, a few months ago we finally had a positive pregnancy test. Unfortunately, when I was 4 months, I had a miscarriage. I was devastated. I couldn't believe what was going on. 2 months after our tragedy, my family threw my sister a birthday party. There, she and her husband announced they were pregnant. My heart did ache, but I was happy for them. As the evening went on, my sister kept making comments like, we weren't even trying for a baby. It's so funny how we get pregnant so easily. Just as I thought things couldn't get worse, we were standing with my cousins when my sister said, we didn't even want more kids. I was almost contemplating having an abortion. She said all of that while looking at me. I am all for women having abortions, but having my sister use it as a weapon against me, showing off how fertile she is, how she was contemplating having an abortion after they decided to keep the baby and announce it. That really hurt me. I was so upset and frustrated. My husband noticed a change in my emotions immediately. We said goodbye to my parents and left the party immediately. I got many texts from my sister and our cousins calling me jealous for walking out on my sister's birthday party and not being part of their pregnancy celebration. What? My husband and our friends say that I had all the right to feel the way I did, but I'm not sure.
I sent a girl to the hospital Story time. So I used to be part of this organization that would go around cleaning up heavily polluted areas, like neighborhoods, parks, whatever. Well, this one year, we decided that we were going to clean up this man-made beach. And let me tell you guys, it was not cute. It was full of plastic bags, broken glass, food containers. Like, save the planet. What are you doing? Like, literally, save the planet. Come on now. In case you guys are wondering, I got the Save the Effing Planet shirt from a company called Change. They're doing amazing things and they make amazing products. Go check them out. But anyways, when we got to this beach, we broke up into different groups, and some people were in charge of cleaning the sand, some people were in charge of cleaning the shoreline, which was me, and then others were literally like diving in the water and taking out like mountains of trash. It was disgusting. So I'm doing my job, walking along the shoreline, and I'm picking up trash and putting it in my trash bag that I had with me. And I come across this dirty plastic bag that's on the beach, but it's full of like fishing equipment, fishing tools, whatever you want to call it, like bobbers and lures and hooks and line, all that fishing gear, all of it. And for some reason, instead of putting it in my trash bag, I kind of just threw it away from the shoreline, just thinking that somebody cleaning up the sand would get it. But in doing that, I guess they didn't see it or whatever, but this girl ends up stepping on the bag. Mind you guys, she's barefoot cleaning up a beach. I don't know why she would ever be barefoot, like there's trash all over the place, but she steps on the bag. Now, like I said, there was fishing hooks in that bag, and when she steps on the bag barefooted, one of the hooks goes into her foot. Of course, when that happens, she starts to freak out. Everybody goes over there to see what's wrong, and there's a freaking hook in her foot, but nobody could get it out. So they had to call an ambulance to come get her, and it was all my fault. But like, it was an accident.
So my older sister has 3 kids, twin 2-year-olds and an 8-month-old. She's very irresponsible, so my mom takes care of her babies most of the time. Me and my sister are not that close, but she's always touching my clothes and makeup, and it's really annoying since I'm 17 and work a job to pay for all my things while she's unemployed and borrows money from my mom and sometimes me. She also dates a lot, and I honestly don't care. That's her business. I don't ask her about her dating life, and she doesn't ask me about mine. I came home last night to my room torn apart, and a lot of my makeup and extensions were just gone. I was so mad. I called her a bunch of times, and finally someone answered. It was some guy, and I told him to give the phone to my sister. He said she's busy and can't talk right now. I said that I need to talk to her, and he said that he can relay a message. I said to tell her to bring back my things the same way that she took them, and then I'm not babysitting her kids next weekend like she begged me to. He was like, wait, what? But I hung up. 30 minutes later, my mom comes into my room saying that my sister called her crying hysterically that she was kicked out of some guy's car on the road and needed a ride home, and she was blaming me, saying I exposed her. I was so confused until she came home trying to come after me, and I locked my room door. She was screaming that I told her now ex that she has kids, which isn't my business to tell, which got him mad. She said what I did was child endangerment because you shouldn't mention kids to strangers, and that she decides to tell people on her own time. My mom is on her side saying that there was no need to mention kids if my sister didn't feel comfortable, but my dad is saying that she was wrong and overreacting.
It's True Crime Thursday, so let's talk about one of the worst moms in history. Chyna Arnold was a 28-year-old mom who microwaved her 28-day-old baby. Here are the train of events that led Chyna to microwaving her baby. August 29, 2005, Chyna Arnold and her baby father, Terrell Talley, got into an argument in the middle of the night, allegedly. They were arguing because Terrell did not believe that he was the father of Chyna's baby. During this argument, Terrell confessed to sleeping with the neighbor, and Chyna was drunk during this argument, and that set her off. This angered Chyna to the point where she put her baby in the microwave for more than 2 whole minutes. She later on said that she microwaved her baby because she was drunk and she was afraid that Terrell might find out that he wasn't the baby's father. DNA tests later on concluded that Terrell was in fact the baby's father. Later on, she took her baby to the hospital and the baby died in the hospital the next day. So the hospital got the police involved. Investigators found that the burns on the baby were very similar to a case they had worked where a baby had been microwaved. What's even more disgusting is she got witnesses to lie for her and say that they saw Chyna's nephew put her baby in the microwave. But Chyna's nephew had an alibi, and so they charged Chyna and sentenced her to life